Welcome to Reddit After Hours. This is r/Maliciouscompliance, where OP gets his store shut down at the command of his supervisor. Our first Reddit post comes from Pro Friendzoner, titled "Supervisor Told Me Sarcastically to Call the Fire Department." So I did. I worked in retail in between jobs way back when, early 90s. Yeah, I'm old, get off my lawn. It was December and it was a major department store that is no longer around. I know that doesn't narrow it down. Sorry. Anyways, they tried to cram as much product on the floor as possible, to the point that you couldn't walk through the aisles and had to twist and turn to get past fixtures set up with product. I casually mentioned to a supervisor that if the fire department ever came in, they would close us down for the hazards and lack of egress. She was highly stressed and blurted out to me, "You know what? Then call the fire department." I held my hands up and said, "Easy." She signed me my duties, and that was that. Well, she did tell me to call. On the way home, I stopped by a government building that had all sorts of agencies in it. Told the receptionist my plight, and she pointed me to a phone on the wall. Tell the operator or that I want FD, and they would patch me through to the station's non-emergency line. The fire chief himself answered. I told him how crowded it was and what the supervisor had said. He had a good laugh and then said that they'd check it out. I was off the next day, but heard about it when I got back. The fire chief and a station house full of firefighters showed up to do an inspection. He tells the store manager that egress is being blocked and he'd have to remove a lot of fixtures in the aisles. The store manager says that he has orders from corporate. The fixtures have to stay. The fire chief assures him that he will not win this argument. The store manager stands his ground though. Fire chief, "All right, boys, close them down." They evacuated the store, all 3 levels, and closed all entrances in December, prime Christmas shopping season. Although it wasn't a weekend day, it was during the week, but still. Store manager tried to protest, and suddenly the sheriff's department starts showing up. So, long story short, they were closed for about 5.5 hours while the chief, store manager, and employees rearranged the store to acceptable levels. The supervisor never treated me differently, so I'm guessing she didn't remember the conversation. The store manager, surprisingly, did not get fired by corporate, but corporate was not happy. About a week later, I'm working with the store manager and supervisor when she asks why we can't do something a certain way. The store manager replied, quote, "The fire department won't allow it," and that was it. I worked there for a few more weeks before getting a job that almost got me killed in a workplace shooting, but that's a story for later. Our next Reddit post comes from Illustrious Report 482, titled, "You want the server down during business hours? You got it." I used to work IT at a mid-sized logistics company. Our warehouse ran 24/7, but the corporate office was open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was responsible for maintaining the internal server that handled everything from payroll to inventory management to shipping labels. On Monday morning, I got an email from a higher-up, let's call her Karen, demanding that we take the server offline immediately for scheduled maintenance. Now, I had scheduled that maintenance for Sunday evening, sent out 3 notices, and got no objections. But Karen hadn't read those emails and was now insisting that we do it right now during her working hours. I replied, taking the server offline during business hours will temporarily halt access to the shipping system, inventory, time tracking, and payroll processing. Can you confirm that you would like me to proceed? She replied, and I quote, "Yes, you should be working on my schedule. Get it done now." So, all right, malicious compliance time. I looped in the warehouse manager and let him know the system would be down per Karen's urgent request. Then I pulled the plug at exactly 10:30 a.m. Within 15 minutes, the office was in chaos. No one could clock in or out, print labels, track shipments, or even check inventory levels. Phones were ringing off the hook. The CFO stormed into my office asking what the hell was going on. I just showed him the email thread. Less than 30 minutes later, Karen came to my office, red-faced and yelling. I calmly pointed out that she had approved the server downtime in writing despite my warnings. I offered to restore access early, but reminded her that it would take time to reboot and check for errors from the forced shutdown. The fallout? Oh yes. She got dragged into a meeting with the COO and CTO that afternoon. From what I heard, it did not go well for her. After that, all urgent IT requests from management had to go through a change management process with multiple approvals. I also got a little bonus on my next paycheck for handling the outage with professionalism. Sometimes the best way to teach someone why we have procedures is to let them break one, just once. When will people learn that 1, you don't mess with the IT guy? They are like almost literal gods to some companies. And 2, if an employee is asking you, hey, I don't think that this is right, can you put it on paper that you actually want me to do this? That's probably a sign that you should rethink whatever you're telling that employee to do. Our next Reddit post comes from Where's My Chin, titled, Do All the Work Yourself or Get 0%. In high school, I was in a science class that I did very well in. I was top of the class and scored nearly 100% on every test and assignment. The teacher assigned a big group project that would take about a week to complete with a team of 4 students. Groups were randomly assigned, and unfortunately, I was paired up with 3 kids who were barely passing the class. In class, we were given time to make plans together as a group to divide up the work, examine the instructions, schedule times outside of school to meet up, etc. It was at this point that my teammates decided to tell me that they weren't going to do any of the work on the project. I asked why, and they said that they knew that I really cared about my grade, so they figured that I would just do it on my own. They were so lazy that they were banking on the fact that I wouldn't tank my own grade, so that they could benefit off of my hard work when I inevitably got a good score on the project. I was pissed and said that that was unfair. They dug in and said, too bad. Now you either do this project yourself or you'll get 0%. Cue malicious compliance. Now, I could have gone to the teacher and he probably would have sorted this out, but a better idea struck me. So I said, fine, you win. I'll do what you say. They smiled smugly and thought that was that. But you see, this teacher had a policy that at the end of the semester, your lowest grade, excluding finals, would be taken off your record. So if you forgot to turn in an assignment or did really bad on one test, you got a mulligan, so it wouldn't ruin your final grade. I had never done poorly on an assignment all year, so I never needed my mulligan. However, I knew that these buttholes all did. If they got a big fat 0 on a crucial assignment, they probably would fail the class. So I did exactly as they instructed. I did no work on the project all week, just sat on it and bided my time. At the beginning of the next week, all the students turned in their assignments and my team watched as I sat in my chair unmoving. Finally, one said, "Classmate, hey OP, aren't you going to turn in the project?" Me, "Oh, I didn't do the project." They were shocked and asked why the hell I didn't do it. Me, "You said do all the work or get 0%. I chose 0%. They were all royally pissed, and they all had to do credit recovery over the summer. They hated my guts, but I couldn't have cared less. It was the most satisfying failing grade that I've ever gotten in my entire life. Our next Reddit post comes from Lil Bia, titled, "Want me to clean up users on the portal?" Done. You're deleted. I work in IT for a big company and managed a portal that a small group of people use daily. Manager wanted me to go through the list of users and remove anyone who didn't need access. Very simple request. I reduced the list from 100 to about 30 people, and everyone's happy. A couple weeks later, the manager is complaining that 30 users is too much and wanted me to create a list of all their names, what team they are a part of, who they report to, and how often they need access to this portal. Annoying request, but sure, I got it done. He goes through the list and gets mad when he sees names that he doesn't recognize, even though our company has a couple thousand employees. So he tells me to delete all users whose name he doesn't recognize. Stupid request, but okay. We are a global company, so immediately overnight, I'm getting bombarded with emails that systems are down and no one has access to log into the system and fix it. My phone's going off, but screw it. I don't get paid to work at 3 a.m. Next morning, my manager somehow gets mad at me for deleting the users that he told me to delete and tells me to add them back. Yeah, no duh. Couple of weeks later, he again brings up that he's not happy and the system is not secure. Too many users have access, blah, blah, blah. Like, bro, how bored are you? He wanted me to review the list of users with him again. 27 of the users use this system daily. There are only 3 users, himself and 2 other people, that are high up management that don't use the system at all but are there for political reasons. He starts yelling at me to delete anyone who doesn't use the portal daily as part of their core job. And anyone new who wants access must fill out a form and explain why they need it. So, okay, fine, screw it. Done. Couple of weeks pass by and he goes, "Hey, I think something's wrong with the system. I can't log in anymore." Me, "Nope, it's working just fine." Manager, "Then why can't I log in?" Me, "I removed all users who don't use it daily as part of their core job." Quoting my manager from a couple weeks ago, word for word. Manager, "Add me back." Me, slides him the form that he created. Manager, surprise Pikachu face. Me, smiling, shit-eating grin. Take that. It's been a couple of weeks now, and he still hasn't filled out the form, and I still haven't added him back, yet we are somehow on good terms now. I love that he still hasn't filled out the form. Kind of like his quiet way of acknowledging that he was being a butthole, but doesn't want to say it out loud. Good job, OP. That was Reddit After Hours, bringing you r/Maliciouscompliance. Thank you all so much for listening, and if you like these videos, like and subscribe for more Reddit content.